Ask the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs if she will outline the number of records being examined as part of her department's scoping exercise into the illegal adoption scandal, the progress of the scoping exercise, and if she will make a statement on the matter.
2 minutes.
Following the discovery of clear evidence of illegal birth registrations in the St. Patrick's Guild records, I directed that an analysis of adoption records be carried out to establish whether there is sufficient, reliable evidence of the practice of illegal registration that can be extracted from the records of adoption agencies. The analysis of records is being carried out by TUSLA and the Adoption Authority of Ireland and overseen by an independent reviewer who is a former Deputy Director of Social Services in Northern Ireland. Representatives from both agencies and the reviewer have met regularly since June. The work to date has focused on agreeing the sampling methodology in consultation with a statistician, addressing the data protection issues, and identifying the specific records to be reviewed and agreeing a template to be applied by social workers reviewing the records. There are an estimated 150,000 adoption records in existence, and of these, approximately 100,000 are currently in the custody of the state, either TUSLA or the Adoption Authority of Ireland. The review is focused on those records, and a targeted sampling exercise is being carried out in the first instance, owing to the volume of records involved. This targeted review will help to establish the extent of usable information that can be found in these historical records. The review will provide information to assist me in identifying more fully the scale of illegal birth registrations and in identifying any necessary next steps. TUSLA and the Adoption Authority are working hard to extract and examine the records. This is a very complex task, and issues have arisen in relation to data protection and GDPR regulations. These issues mean that the estimated timeline for the independent reviewer's report is now mid-December. I want to get to the truth. I believe that the further analysis which has commenced, together with the ongoing work of the Commission of Investigation into Mother and Baby Homes, will be extremely important in helping us shape the further steps to be taken.
Deputy Mitchell.
Minister, before the summer break, the revelations that potentially tens of thousands of people across Ireland had been legally adopted, and the fact that they were unaware that they were adopted caused massive public commentary. The issue of legal adoptions has been a point raised by many of the survivors' groups for years. The Minister outlined that a scoping exercise was being undertaken by our department, and since that time many campaigners have come forward explaining how they have been met by a brick wall when they've been trying to access information. Many have called for a full audit of adoption records. So will the Minister commit to a wholesale investigation and audit of all adoption records and the seizure of any records currently not in your possession? Also, recent media reports suggested that much of this documentation has been in the Department of Children and Youth Affairs for years. So, Minister, I want to ask you, if this information has been in this department for years, why has it taken so long to initiate an investigation?
1 minute.
You asked many questions there. Let me start with your last one first, with a preface that I am deeply concerned about the issue of illegal registrations, and I am in regular communication and contact with those who are in that, who are in the position of having been adopted, the concerns that they raise, advocates of those who are in that position, and had the opportunity to meet some of them directly face-to-face subsequent to authorizing this current audit and targeted sampling of the records. So I understand what you're speaking about, and I am in regular communication with the people, and I am deeply concerned myself. In terms of your last question there, then why now? We knew about this for years. It's true that the Adoption Authority has previously spoken publicly about cases on its files where it suspects there to have been an illegal registration. But so far, it has not had sufficient information on file file to confirm them. As I said in my press statement of the 29th of May, it is examining these unconfirmed cases further to see if any further facts can be established. But it's really difficult to prove these cases in the absence of good records. But if the AAI, following this validation exercise, reaches the high level of certainty that I've spoken of, these cases will be added to the 126 that have already been confirmed and announced by me. So it is the case that they identified those cases earlier, that they were communicated by my department. But it is also true to say that they're going back now and to taking a look and trying to validate, do they reach the same level, I suppose, of certainty that we do have now in relation to the 126 cases. So the commitment is there, and we are continuing to examine
Deputy
that.
Mitchell's final supplementary.
Minister, I can understand why people are frustrated, because people have been shouting about this for years, and the Irish Examiner newspaper has been highlighting this scandal for years now. A point I also want to raise with you, Minister, regarding this is, have you considered a redress scheme as part of your plan to deal with this scandal? The reason I raise this is because it's clear that this has caused distress to many people who've suddenly found out that they're now being illegally adopted. But there's also very serious legal issues when it comes to the rights and the entitlements, issues such as parents' wills, property, etc. So I just wonder, is this something in light of this that you're going to look at seriously, considering that possibly down the line we are going to be facing serious legal issues?
Final response, 1 minute.
Well, again, a short answer to that is yes, that potentially can be in the mix. There's no, I mean, at this stage, I wouldn't at all be ruling that out. At the same time, the first task that we're identifying and that we're working on here, as we're saying, is trying to identify to see if we have evidence, and you need that evidence in order to go down the route that you've talked about there, to see if we have more illegal registrations. And we are, just to go back to one of your earlier questions, we are looking at a sample in the first instance because of the sheer volume of the records involved. This is a hugely complex task, and I think it is true to say that those who are advocating that this work is done are aware of that. I read the Irish Examiner as well, and I am grateful for the work of the, of Conall Flattard, as well as others who write for other papers, to lift up these issues for us. And I think what we're doing is appropriately responding, and in a targeted, strategic, and an intelligent manner to move in a new direction in terms of trying to identify, do we have other, we have hundreds of, I said 150,000 people who have been adopted, 100,000 records that are in the public domain, and to take an intelligent and targeted approach to try to find if we can find any others that were evidence for illegal registrations. We want early answers. We think the quickest way to get them is to do that targeted exercise, and then on the basis of that to make decisions to move forward if necessary, to make a wider piece of research for the people.
Deputy Rabbit.